What's up YouTube? Capital G here. Got an absolutely devastating combo play for you guys to check out. I know a lot of people like to think that Necroz is the ritual deck to go to, but I'm telling you guys, the low-key sleeper ritual deck, the 200 IQ ritual deck, guys, it's not Necroz. I'm telling you guys, it's Vendread. This is a combo deck that has an incredibly high ceiling, and unlike most of the combo decks in this format, this deck can organically play around Nibiru. By your third summon, you can turn your opponent's Nibiru off, and then you can just wombo combo for days. Essentially, it's one of the only decks in the game, I think Pendulum's like the only other one I can think of, that can always just play around Nibiru. Pendulums, of course, have Jackal King. Most other decks have to go for Appaloosa, but a lot of times, by the time they've gone for Appaloosa, they've already special summoned like 5, 6, 7 times, so you can just hit them with that. There are combo decks like Heroes that don't have any way of playing around Nibiru. That's not a problem with this deck. So let's go ahead and roll this. Let's see Spyrals get put in a body bag. By the way, he's got double hand traps, so I don't want to hear no complaining. Your boy got Ash Blossom. He's got Droll and Lockbird, which is super good against rituals, and we'll see how this is going to play out. So I believe he's going to open with the Vendread Charge. This is a card that requires a discard. I got no problem with somebody using Ash Blossom on it because it's a +1. Your opponent has to discard a card. You hit them with the Ash Blossom. Basically, they lose 2 cards for nothing. So I think that using Ash on that is fine. He is going to activate the pre-preparation of rights, which essentially gives him a plus back. So he's kind of like a neutral game state. His opponent is going to go ahead and hit him with that Droll. Not today, buddy. He's going to use the Call by the Grave, and now he can start doing some good stuff. Obviously, incantations are going to be good in rituals forever because they allow you to kind of recover, because you know he did take a neg early in the turn, but you know the incantation monsters are like +2, so they kind of just recover that advantage. He's going to summon the Battle Lord. Now this is his 3rd summon, and this is why Nibiru does not beat this deck. Off 3rd summon, he can activate Battle Lord's effect. You call monster, your opponent can no longer Nibiru you, and you can just combo for days, and there's really nothing that they can do about it. I mean, I guess they can impermanence you, but the other hand traps, Gamma, whatever, like they're just not going to work at this point. He is going to summon a 4th time before using it. I probably wouldn't have, but whatever. It doesn't make a difference. He's still not at 5 summons. The Vendread monsters do float when they go to the graveyard. Some of them search, some of them dump monsters into the graveyard. That allows you to just keep on playing. More incantations using things like Chalice Slime, and the incantations are just, they're constant pluses. He's going to summon Slayer. I don't think Slayer's float effect is a hard once per turn. I might be wrong about that. Don't quote me on that. He is going to summon, and this was spicy by the way, he's going to summon the Fire Fist Ritual Monster. Now keep in mind, this card does technically have negation built into it. It's not hard negation. It's not like you know, something like Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, but it is like Brawl Savage. It does negate the effect, it just doesn't destroy it. You can pitch a monster from your hand, set that Fire Formation Tenki, then he can basically use that negation. And what he's going to do with the Tenki, this was spicy as well, he's going to search Assault Sniper, and I was like, oh my god, I'm going to lose my mind if he summons Stardust Assault Mode. He's not going to summon Stardust Assault Mode, but he will be able to do some spicy things. He's also going to dump Beatrice, or summon Beatrice. That's going to dump the Necro World Banshee into the graveyard. That will put Zombie World on the field. If you're playing against a deck like Salamangreats, oh my god, I hate playing against Zombie World with Salamangreats. You can't make Balinks because you don't control Cyber's monsters. All your monsters become zombies, and it's just really frustrating for like Salamangreats. He is going to go ahead and use that. He's not done yet. Gonna summon Saryuja Skull Dread so that he can get that Assault Sniper out of his hand. He's like, I don't need no stinking draws, Cap G. He is gonna go for the Side Reflector, which can bring back a monster from the graveyard like that Assault Beast. Now, unfortunately, he's not gonna go for Stardust Dragon, so the dream is dead. But he says, Cap, I got the next best thing. I'll go for Boiled Savage Dragon. I'll get my negation. So it all works out. I would have honestly liked to see, you know, the Stardust Assault. And then he's going to end his turn by summoning his copy of Revendread Slayer back to the field. Slayer does not have the pop effect because it wasn't ritual summoned using one of those Vendread monsters, so it doesn't really count as another disruption. But right now his field currently has one negation when it comes to monster effects because of the Fire Fist ritual, and then you have a second negation with Savage Dragon. It doesn't really look all that good, but don't worry, he's about to put the cherry on top. During your opponent's draw phase, you activate Beatrice, then you send Glow Up Boom to the graveyard. Glow Up Boom banishes itself, and since you have Zombie World on the field, you can get Baller Drock, and then Baller Drock gives you another negation, plus it gives you a disruption because you can banish one of your opponent's monsters. So essentially, he's still on 4 disruptions. Now, I will say this, I think he actually played this out awfully. as good as this field is with like 6 monsters and so much negation, he pretty much played this terribly in my, this is just my, you guys will make your judgment calls, I guess, but he's gonna activate Magician Souls. He does use negation on it. First off, I would not have negated Magician Souls because I don't really consider it that big of a threat, but that's just me. I just would have saved that. Here's my biggest problem that I had. When he summoned Spyral Drone, he's going to use Baller Drock's negation. I feel like he should have let him resolve Drone, and he should have used the banish effect of the Baller Drock and just banished the Drone. This way, he wouldn't have had to deal with Drone for the rest of the duel. It's a limited card. Your opponent now has wasted their normal summon. They haven't done anything except, oh, they know the top card on your deck. So what? Who cares like if you mess up my top, 4 cards? As long as I've got 6 monsters on the field, I'm going to kill you. So I feel like he wasted his negation there, and I just didn't like that play. I felt like he should have just banished it. His opponent's going to go Super Agent. I think that, yeah, he actually gets it right, but Baller Drock's going to negate that. You see how he could have just like negated the Super Agent. It kind of feels like his opponent still low-key was almost close to coming back in this duel. I mean, he's definitely not going to come back in the duel, but it just feels like the duel was a little too close for comfort. I felt like he should have just banished the Drone. He wouldn't have been able to even get close to summoning Double Helix, and the game would have been over. Don't worry, he is still ultimately going to win because Master Plan, while strong, she can still just be banished by the copy of Baller Drock, and then it's pretty much curtains for the Spyral player. He can you can bring back a Super Agent, but that's just not going to do it. He will negate it with the Fire Fist Ritual Monster, and now he's able to attack for game. I mean, in the end, like, yeah, he does ultimately just smash the Spyral player, but I feel like the smashing could have been played out a little more effectively. Anyways, let's go ahead and pause and check out this deck list for a second. And actually, you know what? I lied once again. Let's do a bonus duel, then we'll get to the deck profile. It's zombies all day today because we got more zombie action. This is a completely different build, and he's dueling against Magical Musketeers, and my, so many Ash Blossoms. Ain't none of these searches gonna resolve. These guys got 3 Ash Blossoms between their 2 opening hands. I don't think these cards are gonna resolve. So yeah, Solitaire is met with an Ash Blossom. That was predictable. He's gonna set in permanence and then just pass to his opponent. His opponent's going to go Caspar and then Cyclone. The reason he did not blind Cyclone is he wanted to make advantage off of the Caspar, but unfortunately his opponent had impermanence, so he ends up kind of losing out on both of those. He will simply attack and then pass his opponent. I think he's going to top deck a Shurnoi Squire. That effect is not going to, she's going to lose herself to the Desperado, and then he will summon the Spectral Sword and simply attack. Ash Blossom is going to be used on the Caspar. Now, if you're wondering why the zombie player is willing to just give up his Spectral Sword, it's because against Musketeers, you don't want to keep cards on the field if you don't have to. Like, you don't want to just keep pointless cards on the field because your opponent will summon Max and they'll make advantage based off your field. So that's what you're trying to kind of avoid. That's why he says, screw it, Cap, I'd rather have an empty field. Believe it or not, again, that's actually the right play. Caspar will be ashed once again. At least he got the desires off, so that's something. He's going to get some more draws off of the copies of what was that, Upstart Goblin and Kid Brave, and it doesn't look good, but top decks are definitely coming in hot. He will finally resolve the Shurnoi Solitaire. We know Zombie Unizombie can get they can get zombies back into the duel. Now he's able to pitch the copy of Baller Drock out of his hand, and just like that, he's back in the duel. It's going to start summoning some of those big Shurnoi synchro monsters. That's not going to be the biggest one you'll see in this duel, and then he'll end on Vampire Sucker. This was a little questionable. He is going to summon Baller Drock. He's going to get the draw from Vampire Sucker. He's actually, if you believe this, he's going to banish his own copy of Vampire Sucker. Interesting. I guess he really just doesn't want to lose the Max. That's the only thing I can think of. I guess it technically works because his opponent was going to mind control it anyway, so he was never going to be able to resolve the effect, and I think his opponent's just going to try to go in for damage. He will resolve the Caspar. see how much he can do. Not quite game, but he is able to completely mount him, take away all of the cards on his field. Baller's Rock, there's no field spell, so it's not coming back. Not yet anyways. Don't worry, he still has to come back. As long as you can use the Mizuki, you're at least in the duel, and I think he's going to be able to come back out of nowhere. Check this cheese out. Even though his opponent's going to blow up the Baller's Rock, he says, no problem, bro. I'll just summon my Sun Saga, my zombie cowboy, well, it's not a cowboy. It's like a zombie samurai. There you go. Fire zombie samurai. It has the ability to balance a lot of cards on your opponent's side of the field. He says, get rid of those musketeers. Thank you very much. So you can't use that cross domination. Then I think I'll just kindly attack you for game. Anyways, now we can go ahead and check out the deck profile. Okay, so this monstrosity is 60 card Vendred. I actually did not notice that in the duel. My goodness. And actually, let me just, I'm going to order something around. Let's move this to here. I like to keep all my multiples together. My goodness. It's kind of crazy, right? There's not nearly as many incantations in this build as you would imagine, right? Because we saw so many incantations be used in like that first turn, but is not really that many in here. In fact, the only one that he's running multiples of is the pin. So, you know, there's that. But obviously you have Child Slime, and that can be searchable from like the pre-prep, and that can also be searchable from the preparation of rites. That's like more of the important cards. It's just making sure you get to like your ritual plus cards. Now, unfortunately, I think this is like one of the only ritual decks that probably can't run Extravagance unless you really adjust your extra deck, because we saw that like there were certain cards, certain negation cards, and there were certain plays that you just needed to go to. Cards like Beatrice, that's a limited card. If you remove that from Extravagance, or if you banish it from Extravagance, that could just kind of hurt. And other things, I guess you could kind of play multiples of, like Boiled Savage. So I guess it's up to your discretion if you did want to just go ahead and try to risk it with Extravagance, because obviously like the ritual decks don't do any drawing, and that could just be a potential plus. I've seen a lot of ritual players open up with like Extravagance and pre-prep, and it doesn't matter if your opponent has Ash at that point. You have so many +1s that you're always just going to get there. Same thing with the incantations, because they're +2s as well. So this monstrosity will be in the description below, and if you guys like, if I ever throw in a second duel and you guys don't want to watch that duel, you just want to get to the deck list, these deck lists will always be in the description below. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and turn on that notification bell for daily videos.